Hi guys, Anna over here, and whoa, come on camera, there we go. Okay. As you can probably hear, I am getting over a cold still, but there's a video I've been wanting to make for a little while now that I'm finally going to attempt. So a little while ago, I was curious, like on average, what is my shoe size? Because I have multiple pairs of shoes, and across those pairs of shoes there are multiple sizes. And I actually still have my notes here. So yeah, according to these notes, I have 4 pairs of shoes that are size 2, one pair of shoes that is size 3, one pair of shoes that is a size 6, and then 2 pairs of shoes that are size 4. So I was curious, on average, what my average shoe size was. So for those of you who don't know how to get an average, basically what you do is you take your numbers, you add them together, then divide them by the number of numbers that you added together, and you get the average. When I did this, I found that my average shoe size is, mathematically, 3 remainder 1. Or in a shoe size, that would be 3.5. So, ever since I did this with my shoes, I've been wanting to attempt it with something a little more ambitious. Because, like I said, I have like 8 pairs of shoes, I believe. And that was only when I did this. There could have been a fluctuation since then. But ever since I did that with that, I've been curious about what my average size is in other things. And since summer is just around the corner, I thought, but yeah, ever since, well, focus camera, come on. But yeah, ever since I did that little, not experiment, but project, yeah, we'll call it a project. Ever since I did that project with my shoes, I was curious about what my average size is in other things, because since discovering that my average shoe size is like a 3.5, I've used that when looking at shoes online to kind of have a good, like, base. Even though I don't think I've bought shoes since doing that little mathematical equation. I don't think I've bought shoes, but now whenever I look at shoes, I opt for like a 3, because I know it's going to be more comfortable for my feet than a 2. Which is, it's tricky, you know. You have the actual like size of your foot, and then you have what feels like comfortable. Like those are 2 different things. Like, you know, they got that foot measurer thing at like shoe stores, but like if you actually just went off the measurement of your foot would be pretty tight in the shoe. So you actually want to go up a little bit. Anyway, I digress. But my point is, ever since I did that little project, I wanted to try it with other pieces of clothing, because I feel like depending on the piece of clothing, having like a average size that usually works for you could be a really good thing, especially if it's something that you buy on the fly a lot or you order online a lot. So, with summer right around the corner, I thought it would be fun to attempt this kind of idea and experiment and research, or whatever you would call it. I don't know exactly what category this falls under, but I want to try this with crop tops. Because nothing says summer quite like a fun little crop top moment, and also I have significantly less crop tops than like probably most other clothing. The only other category that I probably have less than crop tops is maybe overalls or jumpsuits or maybe skirts, but those are a little too small. Like there's just like 1 or 2 with them. You can't really, technically, mathematically speaking, you can do an average of like 2, but it's not as interesting, especially if you're planning to put it in a video, as like you know, a couple to work with. So let's find out what my average crop top size is. And also I feel like knowing your average size could come in really handy, especially when like, not just ordering stuff online, but also like if somebody wants to get you a piece of clothing for a gift, like there's always so many like variables when it comes to sizing. But having like an average size should be like a way to beat the system, right? In theory. So, let's keep digging. So I've gone through and I think I've dug up pretty much every single one of my crop tops. Now there is some, I left a t-shirt on the floor, hold on. There are some details across these that we probably should go over. Like some of these are definitely more cropped than others. Some of them have long sleeves, some of them have short sleeves. Some of them are crop tops that I made, which I understand from a mathematical standpoint might throw off the equation, but they are still crop tops that I own, so they would still technically be a part of the equation, so yeah. I did exclude my like denim vest that comes, like it is about the length of a crop top, but I felt like it's too dissimilar from what you would picture when you picture a crop top to include in a crop top roundup, basically. So yeah. I was also hesitant to include this sweater because it's a sweater and I don't even think this really fits me like a crop top most of the time. Like most of the time it evens itself out in a way that doesn't really look like a crop top, but it does technically hit me about where a crop top would, so you know, we had to include it for that. Okay, so enough chitter chatter. Let's start collecting data. Not in that way. The data about ourselves. Gathering data about ourselves instead of like, well, you know. Okay, let's get a blank page. Am I going backwards? Yes, hold on. There we go. Side note, this pen is my favorite pen. It is Papermate Inkjoy's Gel 07. It is so matte. I love it. It just has like great contrast on like paper. 10 out of 10 would recommend. And also it doesn't really get clogged that much. I've maybe had one of these pens clog on me, and that was the green, and that's when I found out. Disassembling these clicky pens and trying to blow the ink through, trying to unclog it, does not work with these because then you can't reassemble it. Yeah, so you can't disassemble these to try to unclog them, which is a major perk of some of the cheaper gel pens that I've used. Anyway, back to data. Make some room, Mo. Make some room. Okay, let's just start with the sweater since it's closest. Okay. Extra small. Aeropostale. Another extra small. Please tell me there's at least one number size in here, otherwise I'm going to be screwed. Extra small, also made in Indonesia. This one's a medium and it was made in Mexico and it used to be a Busch Gardens t-shirt that I made into a crop top. Oh, and you can't see it at all because of how I'm holding it. There you go. Okay, we have a small with a tag that is holding on for dear life from India. A small, and I'm not in frame slightly. Come back here. Another medium. This is the orange sister to the green one. This is another DIY crop top. This one used to be a tank top. Chopped off the bottom, made sleeves. I saw that in a Pinterest pin back in the 2010s. So, thought I'd try it. Small. Another small. Also small. Does this have any? Well, this came from Target, but where is the tag? Okay, this one seemingly the tag has disappeared, so unknown. Okay, and also a medium. So one thing that you get with trying to find the average size with a pair of shoes that you don't necessarily get with other forms of clothing is the standard sizing of, as I drop my notes, the standard sizing of shoes is numbers. So you can add them, you can average them, you can do basically any math stuff with it most of the time. 90% of the time, if you're looking at a pair of shoes, there's going to be a number somewhere in the mix. But clothes, numbers are not guaranteed, especially in female clothes. So we need to come up with a standard number value for all these sizes. Or I guess we could just figure out a way to come up with an average whilst eliminating numbers in averaging, which I feel like there's probably a mathematical way to do that, solve for x and all that jazz, but I was never good at solving for x, so I'm willing to try to find a workaround. Okay, not sure if this is gonna work or not, but what if we assign each size just like a general, number? and then average it that way. Would that work? In my head, I feel like that should work. Like, basically, we're just using like a general number to be a placeholder for medium, extra small, and small, and then adding them together, and then seeing what average number we get. The problem is the final product, like the final number we get, like can't then be transformed back into a number value. Like, it can't then be transformed from the number value to a symbol unless it's divisible by, like I was thinking 1, 2, 3, of course, to keep things easy. We could just look up like what the average like number size is for these sizes, like a small, an extra small, and a medium. But I feel like there's too much like gradient there. You can't just like slap a number on any medium. You can't slap a number on any extra small, because there's so much gradual between. Dumb luck is a wonderful thing. Okay, so I worked it all out mathematically. So 1 representing extra small, 2 representing small, 3 representing medium. Added all of them together, divided it by the number of crop tops, which was 22. Wait, no. $11. Divided it by the number of crop tops, which was 11, and I got 2. 2, which we established previously, was representing small. Therefore, my average crop tops